That's it.
I'll start with two for Johnny. Johnny, just first of all, in terms of Marcel Irby, one of the things that Jeff Fish said yesterday, in terms of maybe why he didn't play as much in the second half, was because everyone needs to be consistent down in and down out. Where does he need to be most consistent to stay on the field? And then on that third quarter touchdown from Mississippi State, both Takario and Gunnar bit on the bubble. What's the proper technique for your team?
The first one, everybody's got to know their assignment to stay on the field, and be able to execute at the highest level. And, we just felt that second half we made some adjustment, because we wanted to run some of our calls that we held on in the first quarter. So, to have 14 in there, DJ was going will be able to execute some of those calls. And then on that touchdown, it's just we practice bad eyes. Guys are not locking in on their keys. We're playing man-to-man, and we turn our guys loose. That was the bottom line. We got to be able to do better. We got to be disciplined. We got to execute the call when it's called.
A question for both. First for Brennan. What's the plan for Raymond Polito this week?
He's got to have a healthy week of practice to get on the field, and if he does that, then I'm sure you'll see him out there.
Are you expecting him to practice this week? Or?
He will know more in about 2 hours, but yeah, I think so.
And then for Johnny, we saw a lot more Justin Flo in this game. What did you see out of him?
He's got a motor, man. The guy, he plays, he gets all he's got, and he makes plays, It's all about who produce, and the guy's producing, so we need to keep him on the field.
Is he kind of like your secret weapon for 12 personnel?
I like to play him more, You just got to be comfortable with some of the calls that we have.
I have a question for both of you, but first, Brennan, Josh Bourgeon, how do you think he performed against Mississippi State in that defensive line?
Joe did. Joe had for the first time going out there and starting in an environment like that. He did admirable. Had some things we got to get cleaned up in the run game, but pass protection was pretty solid. Did a good job, passing games and understanding what their front was, and so he handled himself well first time on the road.
For Johnny, defensively, I think you guys gave up 160 in the first half rushing yards, and then you're able to cut that down. What was the difference between the two halves? With
the first drive, we gave up, I think, 65 yards or something like that, and it was, one of those second game of the year. They come up with new plays we haven't seen, and once we adjust to it, and the guys saw it, we stopped it in the second half.
Damian and Brian.
Brennan, what was your immediate reaction to Jaden's fake spike?
Immediate reaction, a little bit of disbelief, but he relied on his teammates to find a way to get him in there, and the guys reacted well to kind of an unplanned thing. But it was cool to see us find a way to make that play. I'm glad it worked out.
Brian?
Brennan, do you think the shuffling of the offensive line and not having that consistent five so far, has that had any impact on the run game?
No. The thing that got us last week and got us the last time we played these guys is they do their scheme really well, and it's hard for all the teams that have gone against them to run the ball consistently in any form. They do a great job with their scheme. We thought we had a great plan for it, and we were just everyone has to be perfect on every play to do something right. And so if you got one guy off, it ain't gonna work. So we were across the board. We weren't consistent enough in that on that evening.
Do you anticipate a greater emphasis in trying to establish the run in this next game?
No, there isn't. In my mind, personally, there is no such thing as establishing the run. I would like to run the football because I like to run the football, not because we need to do it or there's any reason. It just fits in the game plan. I think we're always going to have some kind of balance. We like throwing the ball, but we need to be a really consistent running football team. And however we get to that, whether it's running the ball 30 times in the first half or 30 times in the second half, we're going to find a way to keep that balance and keep all of our playmakers with the ball in their hand.
Two for Brennan here. Brennan, just in terms of Bourgeon, really any of your outside tackles, what are the key elements in them beginning to develop their footwork to being really good at that? And then in terms of the pockets, Jaden's had some really nice pockets in both of these games. What are you lacking about the way that you guys are doing in the past?
Yeah, our protection scheme is built inside out, meaning we got to protect the inside first and let those guys rush up the field in the most simplest terms. Joe's done a great job transferring what he had from high school and junior college to what we do here. It was a process. It took time. He wasn't really ready until, kind of late spring. We kind of knew that he had something to work with. So his development over the time he's been here has been fantastic. Big Jonah being able to transition from a guard to a tackle. There is a transition there. Just we've talked about it before, but just having to deal with more space and trusting. The fundamentals, and always keeping your feet in the ground and never getting on your toes or getting off balance. It's, once again, it goes back to balance. But so he's done a great job, and the other guys have as well. Jordan, his recovery and all that. So.
Jason and Mike.
Question for each of you. First for Brennan. If Raymond is healthy, would you be comfortable putting him in that starting lineup, or is it something where you kind of want to see him build? And is there a game sheet?
No, we were ready to start him week 1, and then he got injured. So I don't have any problem putting him in the game.
And then for Johnny, what has Bill Morton meant to this defense overall?
A lot. He come from a great program, and a big guy that can hold the middle, eating up all the double teams. When you look at the stats, both linebackers made 12 tackles, and that's credit to the D line. They're taking up a lot of blocks and staying their gaps and stuff like that. So having him here has been really helpful for our guys in the room too.
Yeah, on offense as well. Bill's been a fantastic leader, both on and off the field. Always got a good attitude, always working, always always being a great teammate. So it's great to have him. He's done a lot, for both sides of the ball.
Michael and Troy.
One for each. Obviously, we know that one of the principles of the program is to protect the ball. We also have a quarterback who has thrown 5 interceptions so far, 4 in the last game. So what are the conversations like between the coaches or between the coaches and the quarterback about how to clean that up?
Yeah, it's obviously a huge focus, and the turnovers can come from a variety of places. Obviously, on the stat sheet, it goes to the quarterback. There's a lot of things we need to clean up across the board, from protection to the routes, to the formations, making sure we're all in the right places, because even one little thing, you saw those turnovers. There was one time he threw it right to somebody, but then the other balls are flying all over the place and just flying right to guys off of tip balls, off of very close plays. So obviously he's got to have a great conscience for it and make sure he's not making plays that he's giving them anything easy. But, those guys are good too. But we will have a great mind for the ball. He's very well aware of what that means to our program. So it's across the board. We all need to pitch in.
And for Johnny, how do you see the free safety situation right now? Is it still pretty clear cut that Gunner is that guy, or do you feel like you just envision rotating?
Yeah, everybody's going to get to play. The best guys and the guys that are ready to play this week are the guys going to start. If it's Gunner or Genesis, those will be the guys. You know what I mean? I trust all of those kids back there. They're capable. IT came in and played really well. You look at what we did in the first half, not having Gunner, and not having Stooks. The back end held up, so I trust in what they're doing back there. So, whoever we felt like is ready to play is going to play this week.
Midway through the season last year, when there's lineup changes and all that, we saw the defensive growth. Now you have a game like against Mississippi State where, yes, you give up 31 points, but it felt like a really good defensive performance. Just what have you seen from your defense in terms of the growth from mid last year to this season at this point?
Oh, it was a good game, but there's a lot of room for growth. We need to improve with our technique. We gave up big plays because of lack of technique, so we got to go back to fundamentals and then the execution of the call. The touchdown we just talked about, that was bad eyes. Missed tackles and things like that on the last touchdown. Those are the things that we need to clean. If we could clean those up, then next week I'll be able to answer how well we're playing.
For Brennan, what exactly happened with Raymond's bike accident? What have you heard?
I wasn't there. I didn't see it. I was home already, so I don't have any comment on. I don't know what happened. I just know that he wasn't able to play for a couple weeks.
Jaden took off a lot in this game, especially compared to last year against Mississippi State, and we were able to get a lot of yards that way. How has that helped, or how does the offensive line have to deal with having a quarterback that is now more willing to take off?
And we've talked about it. These last 2 years, having quarterbacks that have been able to move around. You do have to have an adjustment for it. It is important that the offensive line has awareness But they're real conscious of knowing that it may not be 3 seconds when the ball's out. It may not be 4 seconds when the ball's out. It may not be 8, 9, however long it takes. You have great awareness for that. And when he leaves the pocket, we've got our rules understanding that we can't be holding guys and we can't be locked on because then it just immediately negates whatever he can create. So.
Is there a worry that, like, if they have to keep an eye on the quarterback along with their defender, that could...
No, you don't. We don't ever watch the quarterback. We just have to trust. So we're facing that way. He's facing that way. We're not looking back. We're never looking to see where he is. You can tell when the rush lanes change, when the defensive linemen, when they start to work out of the, you got to feel that, and you got to understand that, okay, that he's going over there. Now I got to go chase it down. Just trust that it's going to happen. So we do rep it. We do practice it. It is important to have that awareness. So our guys have done a pretty good job for the most part.
David and Jason.
You're welcome.
Johnny, obviously Kumuli read that last play right. He was there to make it. What do you say to him after that in terms of coaching him on how he could just finish that better?
Just don't hesitate. The call was for you to hug the back. Go hug the back. If you would have just, do what he does at practice, it probably would pick the ball. You know what I mean? And then when you get in position to make the tackle, trust in your ability to make the tackle and don't dive for his feet. He was in position just to wrap him up and bring him down. Those are learning experience, and, I know he felt bad about it, and he's going to learn from it.
Jason and Michael.
Just for both of you, I was wondering if I could get some thoughts on TEP and what they might bring to the table.
Tough program. Those guys are, flying around. The safeties are coming up and hitting. The defensive backs are aggressive. They got some veteran guys in the front seven. They play their front. They're going to be really sound in their rules and their keys, we got to be able to run the ball and throw the ball. It'll be a good challenge. Sorry, Johnny, I haven't watched them on offense.
No, they're well balanced. They've been in the system for a long time. For the starting offensive linemen are back. The kid that was backed up, he started the first two, so they're really experienced. They run the ball very well. You can tell they're well coached. The quarterback, we got to make sure we keep our eye on the quarterback because he likes to get out of the pocket and make things happen. And then, they got a couple of skilled guys that could run. So we got to make sure we stay on top. So, but overall, they're balanced. You know what I mean? So the whole key for us is stop the run.
And our last question to Michael.
Yeah, for Johnny, regarding Justin Flo, again, a lot of talk about him learning the system, playing within the system. When you watched him play in this last game, did it seem like he's starting to get there?
Yeah, it's going to take time for him, and obviously he's getting more comfortable, you know what I mean, with the system, and you can see he's more productive when he's doing things right, and and we just got to keep bringing him along, and I think he's going to have a bigger role. Him and Daniel keep competing. Best guy's going to start. That's just the way our program is. The best player's going to start. So we just got to continue to just bring him along.
All right, that's our time, guys.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.